Unchurned is presented by UpdateAI.
Onboarding is not a call, it's an experience. So it's understanding what are the things that this person, why did they buy? And so usually the first thing that we do, this is what you said, and this is the reason that you bought. This is my North Star.
Did I get this right?
Align on, and let's change it right now, because everything I do is going to be aligning to this. And then so when you do your strategic business review, it's you pull this back up. This is why you bought. Has anything changed? Are we still aligned? And then the usage and value story should align to those things. So it's their words and why did they buy?
And are you mapping that over time? Like how are you showing the time series of that, of why they bought and where they are today and how those needs have changed and how you're fulfilling those needs? Hey, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Unchurned. I'm Josh Schachter, your host of Unchurned, and I've escaped Christy and John for this episode. I'm going solo, and I'm here today with Sam Slevin. Sam is the Global Senior Vice President of Customer Success at AlphaSense. Sam, thank you so much for being on the program.
Yeah, excited to chat. And I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing that you've escaped your team. We'll see.
Well, they bring me down, so I think you're going to see an elevated Josh in this episode, Sam. So we'll elevate together on this.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, cool. So you've been with AlphaSense for about 5.5 years. You've risen to the ranks of global senior vice president. And tell us a little bit about AlphaSense. You guys are an AI first really kind of company, doing a lot with content and reporting. But in your own words, what does AlphaSense do?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, AlphaSense helps you make better decisions. And so if you're making multi-million-dollar decisions, you're a knowledge worker, you're a hedge fund analyst, you're a competitive intelligence officer, strategy, all those investor relations. There is more information now that is being created than ever before. And so how do you make better decisions and how do you remove the uncertainty of making decisions? And so what AlphaSense is we have millions and millions of high value documents. So you think about earnings calls and what the company is saying, 10Ks, 10Qs, earnings calls, industry trade journals, and news, as well as broker research, as well as expert transcripts that's completely proprietary, and also allowing the company to upload their own content on top of that into AlphaSense and use our company name, tagging, AI that then eventually pulls out and can ask in a generative form, what are people thinking about? What is the sentiment on capital expenditure in AI? And you can get that mix of information that would take you hundreds of hours to summarize and put together that allows you to make a better decision on whatever you're thinking about.
So you're helping the finance world make better decisions. You're digging into really rich, valuable financial data to help them do that, competitive intelligence, all that kind of stuff. The company's about 2,000 full-time employees. Tell us a little bit about like some of the organic and inorganic growth of the company, because I know there have been some during your time there recently.
Yeah, so just to clarify, so started in financial services. Our corporate business is as big as our financial services now. So we'll work with strategy, competitive intelligence, investor relations, BD, et cetera. So both of those sides. So we're fully horizontal in terms of like every industry that we serve. And then, so in terms of the growth has been pretty incredible. I think I think you and I were talking about, and I say, I don't know if this is the right term or not, but I say like we're an AI native company and have been doing AI for over 10 years because I think everyone today says we are AI or as a, whatever the case may be. And it's actually been a real tailwind for us instead of a headwind, because we used to try and explain what we do and how like they're AI. And you would get questions, 5 or 6 years ago even. Yeah. So you have, what do you mean artificial intelligence? How is that? Like, what is that? And now everyone's like, oh, so are you a ChatGPT? So the nomenclature and there's just a common person understands why you would use this now better. And now what they're worried about is trust, verifiable, high content accuracy, good places and sources of truth. And so that has really propelled our business as a result of that. And so, I joined.
So you're saying you had the AI pole position, and you've maintained that pole position, and the flurry of all these Y Combinator turds, as I like to call them, all the AI. Although I don't think that's what you're referring to. I think you're referring to the larger organizations that claim they have AI that don't really have it truly. But this is something that's the market has kind of softened, and it understands AI now better. And so you probably have to do less time explaining it, right? Because they're there with you, your ICPs.
Exactly. So I think that there's everyone in the board now. I think there's a board level conversation of what is our AI strategy.
Yeah.
And I think that gets confused with like what's an LLM versus AI, whatever the case may be. But overall, that is a board level conversation, which allows us to talk about how and why you should be leveraging AlphaSense now. And so that's led to a lot of growth, and then that's led to a bunch of acquisitions as well over the last 4 years.
Yeah, and we're going to talk more about the acquisitions. Okay, so you report to the president and CRO. You have post sales underneath you, account management, support, a little bit of pre sales as well, right? For the folks that are helping to impregnate the deals. You oversee international and about 200 people total, 150 plus in the US. Is that more or less correct?
More or less, yeah. I think customer success is one of those things that means a million different things in a million different places. And so the way that I think about it and my mandate and remit is jobs to be done. So I specifically think about 3 jobs to be done that we own and are accountable for. Post sales, and that is making sure that value is greater than price. And there's a bunch of underlying ways that we think about that. But like at the end of the day, that's the only thing that matters is value is greater than price. And so that we're delivering those outcomes tied to the business post sales. Then there is a support function, which ties into that and making sure that tickets and chats are handled and we're supporting some of our more technical customers. And then pre-sales as well, making sure that, which is, I think, a little bit more unique and not as common sitting under customer success, but thinking about the pre-sales documentation through post-sales and that alignment there is one of the reasons that we do that.
How do you make sure that value is greater than price? I love that actually in its simplicity as a mantra. So how do you ensure that?
For me, I think the expression is beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So it's really understanding why did this person or this firm or this group of people sign up for AlphaSense? And so that's why one of the reasons I love having the pre-sales function, because we're helping document those value. Almost all of our customers test before they invest. And so that's a luxury that we have, which I think a lot of other companies don't have, but that stops overselling. And it really allows you to align with what is in the roadmap today. And then there's obviously things that are coming, but will you sign up with what you've experienced today? And so an account executive or an AE or a salesperson will qualify and do discovery and understand what this person is trying to achieve. And then they will set them on a trial that aligns to that. And then I have my team come in that is training them, teaching them, having calls, capturing value stories that align to the reason that they bought. And then the onboarding from there is, onboarding is not a call, it's an experience. So it's understanding what are the things that this person, why did they buy? And so usually the first thing that we do is we pull up the sales proposal and the reasoning that they just put down. They just gave a stranger money to buy AlphaSense. And we talk about, well, here are the reasons that you bought. And these are your words. And
where is that sales proposal? This is like an order form, or you're pulling up, you guys use Gong?
It's usually a proposal deck of some sort of deck that the sales team has done to get this deal done. And then we start with, these are your words. And this is we will have them edit it in their I'm going to open this up and I just want to make sure this is what you said and this is the reason that you bought. This is my North Star.
Did I get this right?
Align on and let's change it right now, because everything I do is going to be aligning to this. And then so when you do your strategic business review, it's you pull this back up. This is why you bought. Has anything changed? Are we still aligned? And then the usage and value story should align to those things. So it's their words and why did they buy?
And are you mapping that over time? Like, how are you showing the time series of that, of why they bought and where they are today and how those needs have changed and how you're fulfilling those needs?
Yeah, I mean, it's a combination of the value stories from the users, because again, like, we're a user by user model, generally speaking. So you could sign up one large firm, and then you could start with one division. You could have investor relations at this global firm. They are buying for a different reason than maybe the FP&A team that is buying for a different reason than the competitive intelligence team. So it's making sure that you're mapping and doing that account mapping with the account executives, that we're figuring out how we land and expand and grow within those, and align there.
Oh, so in many of your contracts, it sounds like you have an overall kind of umbrella contract, but then you've got different stakeholders that have different purposes for your insights. That's what I just heard from you.
Yes, exactly. We have in a corporation, we might have 5 or 6 different personas. And then if you think about some of the more sophisticated companies, a Google, a Microsoft, it's like Google is a classic decentralized company. They have YouTube, they have Android, they have, so what that strategy team is focused on is very different than another team.
Okay, so that sounds like a great opportunity. It sounds like a great opportunity for expansion too, right? You land and expand in that sense, different personas. Also sounds like, I don't want to use the word nightmare, but it sounds very difficult to be able to map all the relationships and the needs for each type of relationship. Because like you said, like the investor relations person needs something completely different than the business analyst that's doing competitive intelligence, potentially. So how do you systematically go about that? Is it one enterprise CSM that's managing the whole thing? Is it a pool type of a model? Like, what's the overall approach to really synthesizing and organizing all of these needs and tracking those?
Yeah, so we work in partnership with the account executive. So I think this is one of those things that's debated, who owns what or whatever the case may be. And the way that we think about it, and I'll talk about the ideal state, because every single situation is always doesn't get exactly out of the ideal state. But how we map it out is that we are responsible for the retention strategy, and the AE is responsible for the growth strategy. And then they have different areas of what does that mean from an account mapping standpoint. So our role is a lot easier when there's one division and one team that we're working with, and gets a lot more complicated and complex when we're not. So for those bigger accounts, we'll have key account directors, and they may work with 3 or 4 accounts total, because really it's worth working with like 100 accounts, because you're within those groups, as long as you have the ARPU or the ARR per AM that makes sense in the business model. And so as we grow, I can shed accounts from folks so it's like naturally, and it really aligns really well with like how we think about career development. If you're an account like we think about like account management, account manager, account director, key account director, global key account director. If you have one account of what could be one user, but could be one of the large, NVIDIA could be one user, and it's your job to work with the salesperson to grow that. And once you do that, you will have promoted yourself and align with your career path, because you're doing that.
Right, because you've grown the account into being so massive that it's critical to the org.
You had to have more of a book that is composed of a key account director or a global key account director, because of the growth within some of your accounts.
Yeah. Hey, everybody, it's Josh. I'm taking a quick break from the podcast to tell you a bit about UpdateAI. I started UpdateAI to solve 2 major challenges for CS teams. The first is that we save CSMs 4 to 5 hours per week with our productivity through AI. Secondly, we give leaders a window into all the conversations across each account and the entire portfolio. So we help knowledge transfer, we help increase the coverage model of your CS teams, and we help you detect emerging patterns in what your customers are telling your CSMs across all the risks, product feedback, advocacy moments, and expansion opportunities. So come check us out at www.updateai. It's completely free to sign up and trial. You guys just had I don't know what just means, but you can tell me the time frame. But recently acquired a company at $1 billion market cap. Tell me a little bit about that, and then I want to talk about how you in this global leadership role are managing the integration of those teams.
Yeah, so we acquired a company called Tegus. Tegus is was the largest expert transcript library provider. Very, very strong brand in the hedge fund, financial services space. And then so if you believe in a world where maybe some of the general purpose LLMs are going to be ubiquitous, and there are 5 or 6 of them that are all over the place, like a Claude or a GPT or Perplexity or whatever the case may be, differentiated content is going to be one of your key moats. And so this is the large, we had acquired a company called Stream before that to get us in the door of building expert transcript library. And now we are 10 to 20x the largest repository and producing more and more calls than any other provider by a lot. And so that is super high quality content. So that's firms like Gerson Lehrman Group or AlphaSense. They charge something like $1,500 to $2,000 per call. And so we're not doing that. We're doing those at cost, essentially, at the expert, or maybe even at a loss, to create this super high quality experts. And so we bought that company, and we're integrating that into AlphaSense as a content set where you can have, it just feeds into our large language model and AI technology that allows customers to make better insights and make better decisions.
Because you don't want the analyst going to ChatGPT and just using that as their source that doesn't have verified information and whatnot. I mean, obviously that could be a competitive threat.
Yeah, although, we don't see ChatGPT or any of those firms as a competitive threat, given the fact that that's a general purpose large language model where we are vertical, and you can be 90% accurate when you're typing an email or you're doing a podcast, but when you're making a multi-million-dollar decision, like that 99.9999% accuracy and making sure that you have the auditability and trackability and the understanding of if you're going to be a hedge fund analyst or where to put an office location or a strategic shift, those are multi-million, billion-dollar decisions.
Yeah.
You cannot get that stuff wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good selling point right there for sure. So what did the Tegas team look like when they came in as far as the composition, constitution of that team coming in with your team, and how walk us through that integration a little bit?
Yeah. So we're under, you don't absorb a $1 billion company overnight.
Yeah.
And what's really exciting is that there's so many, it's an opportunity to look in the mirror and just say, what are we doing great? And what are we doing that's not working? And what are they doing that's working and what's not working? And how do we take the best of both pieces from like an org structure, goals, alignment, et cetera, and start to figure out and do that the talent mapping and aligning on those sorts of things. So we're in the and it's good timing for 2025. So we kind of are thinking about how we talk about and integrate as an organization going into 2025.
Yeah. What's one thing that you've seen from them that they've done really well? Or not done well?
No. I think there's a lot of to pinpoint one thing. I would say for me, the number one thing that I'm super impressed by is the talent and the people that they have hired and brought in seat is fantastic. It is hard to hire, train, and service this type of industry, hedge funds, investment banks, private equity firms, and to have a peer-to-peer relationship with those types of folks. And they've done an incredible job from the talent that we have. And that's one of my favorite things about acquisitions is if you're growing really fast and you have to hire 30 people next year and there's 20 people on the customer success team, that's 10 less hires that I need to make that we can focus on, they're ramped, they're ready to go, they understand our persona, and it's just teaching around the edges of what's different about AlphaSense versus Tegas. Yeah.
When we prepped this call, we talked a little bit about digital success. That's a hot topic. It was kind of like the 2023 topic, or even maybe 2022, and then AI came up, and I seem to hear it coming back because AI is kind of like just that's not really like that's not really a strategy now. That's just kind of an overarching enabler. But this idea of digital success and being able to reach the longer tail and keep folks engaged is something I keep on hearing coming up with leaders towards the end of this year. So tell me a little bit about what that means to you and what your priorities are right now as far as taking the next step with your digital success program?
Yeah, I think to take a step back, I think the reason that digital success is so exciting and then potentially also gets like overblown is like it's at the end of the day a forcing function from what you should be doing anyway. And so what you should be doing anyway is understanding how to drive value for your customers. And there are things that a human being can and should do. I think it feeds into the AI hype cycle of like there's maybe AI triggers that can help do that. There's customer success tools that can then help do that. But overall, it's like, how do you drive value for your customers? And then a digital success strategy, one of my favorite things about it is when you are looking in the mirror again and trying to map out each one of those areas and what does value look like? How do you think about onboarding? What are all the things that should be accomplished to successfully launch a person? So right now we do that with just a human being, but how do you partner up with marketing, with RevOps, with customer education, and making sure that each one of these things is delivered at the right time? And so should that be a human? Should that be email? Should that be an app? Should that be a text message? Like you get to think about all the different ways working backwards from what are the outcomes that we want to drive. And then that works for digital success, but that should also be air cover for you that makes all of customers better if you do that the right way. And so I think that's what's so exciting about it. And then I think you also live in a world where a lot of customers, especially with some of the people that we work with, like some of them don't want to talk to someone day in and day out to use the product or
right.
How do I do this? Like, I'm a hedge fund analyst. I teach myself SQL or Python on my free time. Like, just like, I should be able to figure out how to use this. Like, give me the thing and I want to do it. And if I have questions, like what's your live chat look like or what the case may be. And so it allows you to meet your customers where they are in terms of what they want or don't want. And then again, I think it allows
by the way, that's an interesting perspective. Like in your industry, you're working with some pretty successful people, very bright and talented and sharp people, probably came from some good schools. Do you find that that changes a little bit of the approach that some they kind of want to be able to learn and do on their own with a little less handholding?
I find that financial services is a little bit more like that, especially the kind of like the incoming graduates and things like that. I think then you get to the MD level, and I'm definitely stereotyping this all different types of people here, but like the MD level is like I'm used to having my analyst and my EA and whatever they spoon feed me everything. So just like I don't want to learn how to use the technology. I have my like Bloomberg keyboard from 30 years ago that I know like the 3 buttons that I hit to get the thing that I need, and that's not what I want. So it really varies by persona again within the stack, and so you have a very different conversation and relationship and with the MD than the analyst.
Yeah, you start to get a little bit more comfortable as you become more seasoned in your career. And I remember when I was younger thinking like, oh, these lazy older leaders, but no. It's just it's a life cycle.
Yeah, you've optimized. It's like one of the things. It's like one of my biggest fears where I'm like, I'm gonna fossilize and like my process of like I use OneNote for everything right now. I don't know if that's the right thing to be doing or not doing, but like that's what I've been doing for the last 10 years. Every meeting that I have, you and I are preparing for a podcast. Like I have tangential to work podcast, like Josh, like let me take my notes on this stuff. And then I have that there and it is what it is. Like, is that the right way to be doing that? Should I be using some Notion or some Evernote or what? Like, who knows what I should or shouldn't be doing? And so I get that because like that's also I feel like I've become successful in using my process, and learning something new slows you down to speed you up. And so how do you think about that yourself as an individual?
Yeah. And you're busy and it works. So just do it. Yeah. I get it. Sam, I'm going to leave it there. This was great conversation. Good luck to you. It sounds like you've got a lot of cool stuff going. You guys are still growing. This is like the right timing for the company. I mean, you guys have always been successful, but it sounds like a really exciting next generation and chapter for you guys and for you personally and the team. And then lastly, stay warm, man. I know we're both here in New York and it's getting chilly out there now towards the holidays. So
awesome. Well, I really appreciate the time. I don't know if you do this sort of thing or not, but since I'm talking in a microphone to you, we're also hiring. And so,
oh yes, please. Oh, everybody wants and needs jobs. Preach.
I think in the tech environment and customer success right now, there aren't as many people hiring. We're hiring product specialists, we're hiring account managers, we're hiring technical support people on the pre-sales, we're hiring on the support side. So we are a high growth, high velocity company with a ton of exciting stuff. So I'll pitch that to your audience as well.
Now, actually, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Are you hiring anything that's like a team manager level or above? Because I find, and this might just be my exposure and connectivity in the industry, but I find a lot of folks at that director level out there that are looking that, and it just seems to be like this imbalance between supply and demand right now.
I would say we're in the middle of 2025 planning that we're like finalizing. And I think I don't have an open rep for that right now, but if there are people that are interested, definitely reach out to me on LinkedIn, and we will be adding more over the course of next year.
Okay. I got some for you.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Sam. Happy holidays.
All right. You too.
Take care.